Good evening to you, dear viewers. Thanks for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe television. I am Innocent Aze. In our headlines, two women in a bid to escape from their captors decided to throw themselves from the fourth floor of a storied building where they were held in captivity in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Though in the hospital, they are out of danger. Meantime, the main suspected captor has been arrested and detained at the Nous Gendarmerie Brigade. Two of his accomplices are on the run, and investigation is on to track them down. And the war against corruption digging deep in the Republic of Cameroon continues. This is coming at a time when the population of Tibati in Gaundira Adamawa region of Cameroon say they pay huge sums of money before their documents are signed. And the population, as well as members of the Anti-Corruption Commission, recently carried out a march past to denounce every act of corruption. Those were major stories. Good evening once more to you viewers. Thanks for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe television, where we're broadcasting live in Douala, the nation's economic capital. We begin with news in the central region of Cameroon to talk about two women who are currently in the hospital responding to treatments, notably at the Yaoundé Central Hospital, after they jumped down from the fourth floor of a story building in the Kolmeseng neighborhoods, where they were held in captivity by some individuals, 3 in number. The incident occurred at about 4 p.m. Wednesday. The loud noise on the roof frightened the security guard, who raised alarm. Many stormed the premises to find out what was happening. They saw one of the women running towards the gate. The population locked the gates to make sure no one in the compound goes out till the arrival of forces of law and order. After rescuing both women with injuries and conveyed them to the hospital, some men in the building approached demanding to go out but were blocked. The main suspect, 37 years old Kopa William Tokwa, tried to escape in the crowds but was held by the population. 2 of his accomplices succeeded to escape. The scapegoat has been detained at the Kolmeseng Gendarmerie Brigade in Yaoundé 3 subdivision for interrogation. Meantime, the story building, whose owner is abroad, has been sealed. Investigation continues to track down the 2 suspects on the run. The population of Gaundira Adamawa region of Cameroon and members of the Anti-Corruption Commission have carried out a march past to denounce every act of corruption in the region. This was during the commemoration of the African Union Anti-Corruption Day on July 11, 2023. This is coming after locals of Tibati confessed they are asked to pay huge sums of money before having their documents signed. Details with Malak Glory.
It is a complicated situation for the population of the Adamawa region to have their official documents signed. According to them, they are asked to pay huge sums of money in exchange of the service.
Pourquoi on nous demande des monnaies encore alors que la CONAC interdit?
Why do they ask us to pay some money when the Anti-Corruption Commission has refused that we pay any money?
Poser à l'État aussi, pourquoi on monnaie encore alors que la CONAC est là chaque jour avec nous?
Every day we have service to give for Cameroonians, and if we continue to corrupt or accept corruption, we are not going to give what Cameroonians is waiting.
The desperate locals expressed their worry during the commemoration of the African Union Anti-Corruption Day on July 11th in the town of Gaundiri. Members of the Anti-Corruption Commission marched past the streets to denounce every act of corruption and to sensitize the population.
Since 2017, the 11th of July is a day devoted, firstly, to step up the mobilization of citizens against corruption. Secondly, to share best anti-corruption practices. And thirdly and last, to reflect on the achievement and challenges in the fight against corruption on the continent. On this special day, National Anti-Corruption of Cameroon has decided to continue the discussions it began last year with anti-corruption units.
As part of activities marking the day, a roundtable conference was held, bringing government officials and other stakeholders together, these to brainstorm on different methods and ways to fight corruption in Cameroon.
Over 48 board chairpersons in Cameroon are now illegally occupying their positions in state enterprises and companies. They have exceeded their maximum term of office as provided by the law and reforms of 2017 in the country. These officials are therefore expected to be replaced by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, or any act whatsoever they oppose or undertake will be considered illegal. For me, Armstrong Sana reports.
6 years after the law of 12 July 2017 fixing the terms of office of board chairpersons of public enterprises at 6 years renewable ones, 48 of them are still in office even against the law in Cameroon. In what analysts qualify as illegality, these board chairpersons of public enterprises continue to carry out board chair activities even beyond their mandate. They include the board chairperson of the Cocoa and Coffee Board, 31 years in office, the board chair of the Electricity Sector Regulatory Board, 23 years in office, the board chair of the Central Bureau of the Census and Population Studies, 18 years in office, the board chair of the National Institute of Statistics, 17 years in office, the board chair of the Baccalaureate Board, 16 years in office, the board chair of the Electricity Development Corporation, 15 years in office, the National Higher Institute of Management, 14 years, the Standard and Quality Agency (ANO), 13 years, the Douala Port Authority, 11 years, and the list continued to 48 of them. Raising this concern earlier this year, Cameroonian University donor and researcher Professor Vivian Biwole Ondwa says the level of non-compliance with the law is worrying and reflects the weakness of the rule of law in this sector. She further says the non-compliance with the legal provisions places these leaders in the situation of indelicacy. In line with the law and reforms of 2017, she highlighted that these board chairpersons engage their civil and criminal liabilities by taking up acts whose legitimacy can be contested. The university don further highlighted that failure to replace these board chairpersons on or before July 12, 2023 will demonstrate a flagrant violation of the rule of law and an act of administrative delinquency.
The 11th session of the Northwest Regional Assembly is taking place in Bamenda with efforts geared towards planning for 2024. During the session, the representative of the states reminded the councillors that at mid-mandates, the time is drawing near for them to present their report cards, and thus the setting up of a realistic budget is imperative. Details in the following reports by Bo Stella, a Northwest Regional Correspondent.
The 11th session of the Northwest Regional Assembly comes midway into their 5-year mandate. The session was dedicated to the evaluation of the path covered so far while mapping a way forward.
One of the important instruments for the Development Fund on our journey to the Bamenda Dry Port has indeed been attained. Other projects done across the region include 2 mortuaries, one in Nous, another in Oku, vocational training center, as well as rehabilitation and renovation works in several palaces, destroyed health and school buildings, and many ongoing projects of the Regional Assembly.
Among the projects realized is the Northwest Regional Assembly Peace and Development Initiative, which took place in all 7 divisions of the Northwest region. The initiative featured peace talks, road maintenance and renovation works. During the session, it was revealed that the road projects carried out will go a long way to ameliorate the living conditions of the locals, although they are short-lived. Speaking during the opening of the session, the representative of the state, Adolphe Lafrique, reminded the councillors that the time is getting near for them to give account of their activities, and therefore setting up a realistic budget is imperative.
This sitting shall forever be remembered as that which marked the midway into your mandate as pioneer regional councillor of the Regional Assembly. This is already a pointer that very soon you shall each be ready account of your mandate to your electors and to the region. It also tells us that we are midway to the next election.
The 11th session has been termed special as it sets the pace for the Northwest Regional Assembly's Peace and Development Initiatives earmarked for 2024.
And now we take you to news out of Cameroon. Egypt has hosted a meeting of leaders from Sudan's 6 neighboring countries in Cairo this Thursday to discuss the ongoing conflicts in the northeastern African country. In Ghana, the United Nations Refugee Agency has issued an urgent plea to the government of Ghana, urging it to immediately halt the expulsion of refugees from Burkina Faso. Malak Glory has compilations of these stories.
30 people have died in Côte d'Ivoire over the past 3 months in floods triggered by an exceptionally strong rainy season. The spokesperson Amadou Coulibaly revealed that the country's economic capital, Abidjan, the largest city with nearly 6 million people, has been particularly hit, recording 22 deaths. Precarious construction in flood-prone areas inhabited by poor populations are rampant in this ever-growing metropolis. Amadou Coulibaly pledged that in response to this alarming situation, the government would reinforce measures and emergency service in risk areas and continue the destruction of informal houses in these zones. Last year's rainy season claimed 19 lives. And in Ghana, the country has been urged by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees to halt the expulsion of refugees from Burkina Faso. It said it was concerned by reports that hundreds of Burkina-based citizens, mainly women and children, have been deported from Ghana after fleeing there to escape violence in their homeland.
Insecurity like, the other countries are having is basically going to tear Ghana apart, because Ghana is, remember, we have over 1,500 ethnic groupings, and we're all knitted together and living together. So if they are able to, use a particular ethnic group and they are fighting against the other groups, you can just imagine what is going to happen.
The United Nations High Commission for Refugees said it was ready to provide more support to Ghana to address the needs of refugees.
It's my country, but now we're scared to be there.
No.
Burkina is no good anymore. People are being slaughtered like chickens. It's no good anymore.
More than 2 million people in Burkina Faso have been forced from their homes by an Islamic insurgency that has spread across several countries in Africa's Sahel region. And over to Egypt, the country is set to host a summit with neighboring country Sudan to discuss ways to end the conflict between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Fighting has been going on for nearly 3 months, leading to a major humanitarian crisis in the region. The rival military factions are sending delegations to summits, but previous regional and international attempts to make peace have failed. On Wednesday, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed met in Cairo to discuss the crisis.
And that's where we end the first part of this newscast. The talking points comes up next in a jiffy. Good evening once more. You welcome to Talking Points. Today we're having as guest Fabrice Lena. He is a city dweller in Yaoundé, as the nation's political capital. And today we'll be talking about MINIFERM, the administrative decision that was taken by the divisional officer of Yaoundé 6 to seal a business premises on the 29th of June and on sealing them 4 days later. And Fabrice Lenant, you are online to Yaoundé. You certainly pass around MINIFERM after the administrative sanction was reversed. Tell us, how are business activities ongoing there? Are they booming already?
Thank you, Innocent Aze, for having me as your guest. The question of insecurity in Yaoundé, like many other capital cities of the regions of Cameroon, is a call for concern. The particular incident of Yaoundé where a uniform officer, a gendarme, is being killed by hoodlums is really a situation that should provoke serious, sustainable administrative strategy to tackle violence in the capital city and insecurity in the urban centers in Cameroon. But we all know where this is coming from because of the mass exodus of young people from villages to the city, because of unemployment, because of moral decadence, because of reactive administrative policies, because of poor governance and all the other factors that can contribute to this. However, none of these factors justify an individual's violent attitude towards a uniform officer. At the same time, this doesn't justify a young person to become a menace to the society. The recent killing of a gendarme in MINIFERM area, Melen, which falls within the Yaoundé 6 Municipal Council area, it's condemnable. It's something we can't condone, and myself, in the place of a civil administrator, I will take very, very strict, strategic, and sustainable measures to tackle this problem. And to tackle the problem is to tackle the source of the problem and people who are responsible for this, not the general population to suffer from a problem that it's caused by a certain group of people, which the intelligence unit of Cameroon Police Force and security agents can easily identify. Well, I think that the ambience in this area is still with a lot of precaution because everyone in the neighborhood of Melen and MINIFERM for the past 2 weeks have been on guard. You know, our system of response to issues that disturb the functioning of state forces or administration is always by a rampage, which for me it is not the best strategy so far.
Let me find out from you, did you appraise the action that was taken by the divisional officer of Yaoundé 6 to seal business premises instead of targeting hoodlums who have been behind the growing insecurity around MINIFERM?
I think the approach of the GO, which includes targeting businesses by sealing off every business place in that environment, doesn't really solve the problem. You know, you don't go to solve a societal problem by creating another societal problem. In Cameroon, we know that citizens are on their own, the state is on its own, so you cannot be sealing the businesses of people. They are not found guilty of being part of the criminals that committed the crime of killing a uniformed officer. Meanwhile, investigations are supposed to be launched on both sides of how and why was the officer killed and who are those responsible.
Well, people say a crime is committed even in broad daylight. How true is that? Can you actually testify?
Government need to take more measures. It is alarming also that these things happen sometimes in front of uniformed officers and nothing is done. Whereas uniformed officers are always in this environment for the purpose of law and order. You know, when you're walking around Yaoundé 6 environment at night, you always see the gendarme, the police doing mixed control, checking these snacks, these bars. But we wonder whether they're actually checking the snacks and the bars or they are just collecting their dues from the owners. So there are a lot of reforms, a lot of restructuring, a lot of things that we really think the government have to adjust as far as the operation of uniformed officers in the urban cities is concerned, as far as relationship with citizens is concerned, as far as responding to a situation of a confrontation between violent young folks and uniformed officers is concerned, because these are sensitive issues that, if not handled carefully, could provoke other problems, other societal problems. Do not forget that these are people that, in one way or the other, are vexed by how things are moving, and then with the economic hardship and the difficult life, high cost of living, they find it very difficult to sort out themselves.
Many people talk about mini-firm, left, right. Tell us more about mini-firm. How alarming is the insecurity around that area?
Must be noted that this environment, this particular environment of mini-firm in Yaoundé is noted for a nightlife zone where you have all these kind of sex workers and city newcomers, hoodlums, and some of these people that have nothing to lose in life, and they are just looming around there. You know, it's a commonplace now in Yaoundé for you to be making call at night and then your phone is just snatched, or you're passing around this environment, you just get attacked. So prostitution is first an illegal activity in Cameroon. So we wonder why this environment is just very close to the gendarmerie headquarters of SED at not very far from Kam Yayap, which is where we have the Secretary for State Defense, you know. So all these things is to tell our civil administrative heads that, please, we won't appreciate it when you come into work only when something happens, and then closing businesses of civilians around this environment for a given period of time without due explanation as to what exactly is going on, or if these people are linked up with the killing of the uniformed officer. It's not the best thing to do. We always appreciate it when things are done rightly, but when it is done to the detriment of citizens, we feel disturbed, because the people in this environment are also looking for their livelihood, especially people who have provision stores, people who have their restaurants, people who have other forms of small businesses around there. For them to be sealed indefinitely without questions, it's a very uncivil and unproductive way of doing things, which I think is linked up to the way the system in place is always doing its things.
Fabrice, before you go, tell us what is to be condemned about Minifirm and some administrative measures usually taken, like the recent one you saw from the divisional officer of Yaoundé 6.
This area is really a place that have serious problem of insecurity, and government needs to tackle this insecurity. Yeah, government needs to tackle this insecurity because it's coming as a result of the high rate of prostitution there and the presence of these nightlife guys that are perpetrators of violent acts in the city centers, and most of these frustrated young people that do not have any plan for themselves or what to do. So you have to be a very, very good leader to deal with this kind and set of people, because it could be very sensitive to deal with them. The issue of insecurity in urban centers, in the political capital, economic capital, in the cities of Cameroon is quite alarming. And we call on the government to take this seriously, the measures seriously, even though we know our calls are always on deaf ears since it is a failed regime. Yeah, it's a regime that has nothing to offer again, and then they just need to be replaced. They are worn out. They are just whining time, and then pushing Cameroonians to the wall at every measure they take to solve problems.
Thank you so very much, Fabrice Lena. Of course, he is a city dweller in Yaoundé, who's joining us live on Talking Point today. And just to recall, that's the decision that was taken by the divisional officer of Yaoundé 6 to seal business premises around Minifirm was reversed. 4 days later, business premises are now open, and the various business operators are going on normally with their activities, though the steam remains very low. And we want to also thank you so very much for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe Television. We enjoy you to stay put for more interesting programs that will be coming up next. See you tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.